And welcome to the Tech Disruptors podcast. My name is Darren. I don't know what is going on with my headphones. I just hear everything on a major echo, which is just fun. But we are the Tech Disruptors. My name is Darren. This lovely gentleman on my top with the brown t-shirt and the headphones. You might know
Jason. I'm Jason.
And regular co-host joining us after a little bit of a 2-week hiatus. How's it going, Devin?
It's been a while. I'm Devin. How's it going?
Now, all of us lovely gentlemen do things in the world of tech, but we are the Tech Disruptors. And if you're tuning in for the first time, we talk tech, we talk reviews, we talk all of those fun and exciting things in the world of technology. Now, we've got a big show today. We've got a couple of special guests, and we'll be getting to our very first special guest shortly. We have an author, and we have a tech folding phone expert coming in very, very soon, who you've seen before. Average Dad. He's going to be joining us and talking everything technological and smartphone and everything in between. So I'll start with you, Jason. Jason, you've just purchased a brand new device, a tool, if you wish, to help you get up early in the morning. Is that true?
It's funny. I don't know if you can hear this dinging in the background. Maybe not. So I got the Nintendo Alarmo. I don't know if you guys know what this is. Nintendo decided to tease everyone with the Switch Tube and then pulled the rug out from underneath everybody and said, nope, we're just releasing a clock.
A clock. Nice.
It's not just a clock. And I was laughing because I looked down at the screen. I was just showing you guys before the show, and it says that I had an update, and it's just doing updates and all kinds of stuff. So here's what it's doing right now.
Nice.
And it just linked my Nintendo account, which just now. So, where do I begin?
So what does it do? That's what I think we want.
It's an alarm clock, first and foremost. And as you can see on the top, it's got a little button. So you can push on this and you can use it as a dial, too, for volume and stuff. And it lights up. It's also got a back button and a notification button, which I thought was weird. It's listed as an email.
Okay.
So basically, you set it up. Once you get through the setup process, you have to set the time, the date. It doesn't do it automatically. You got to do it like the old school way.
Yep.
You set it on your bed, and it asks you, what size bed do you have? Where do you put your clock usually? And it says it has to be this far. So basically, it's got to be able to see you. And there's a motion sensing built into it.
Right. Okay.
So not only does it sense your motion, but it also has custom soundscapes. Like you can do Mario Odyssey, Splatoon 3, Zelda, Breath of the Wild, I believe. And then you can download more. So the setup process, I made a mistake. I used it on my computer desk, just trying to get it going, and it was bad. But basically, you go through the setup process, it tells you to wave your hand, and you can see a little character on the screen go back and forth. And then when you lay on your bed, it asks you to, kind of like the angle.
Okay.
And basically, when the alarm goes off, it senses motion. It starts to turn the sound down, and then it will keep going until you actually get out of bed. Interesting, though, if it senses you get back in bed within an hour, the alarm turns back on. So now, if you don't want to do the sensing, which online people were saying, I don't want Nintendo to know my sleeping habits, whatever. There is another motion where you can just use it as an old school alarm and tap the top like a typical alarm. It's kind of cool. It's kitschy. If you're a Nintendo fan and you like some of those games, I don't think I'll be using it as an alarm clock for myself. My kids already want it, but they're the ones that play the Switch anyways. So
yeah,
it's
but have you been getting up? That's the question.
I have been using it.
Oh, right. Okay, so there you go.
Well, and I just got version 2.0. So now I'm really in for a surprise, I bet.
Now, does it use the Nintendo Memojis? Like those animated...
So right now, I have set up for Pikmin as my soundscape. So there's a little Pikmin that kind of walks across the screen, and when I move my hand, it just kind of goes back and forth. But they turn it into a game. So like when you get up, if you roll over, the bad character, the Bowser, starts like attacking the screen. So I
like that.
It's
Devin,
cool.
you had a question, did you, Dave?
Yeah.
I want to know if it connects to your Pokemon Sleep account, because this isn't the first sleeping app that Nintendo has.
So what was interesting when I set it up, it didn't ask for Wi-Fi, past nothing. So I'm like, oh, this is gonna be like a weird thing. But it said you could download. So I got to the point where I wanted to download more things. Then it asked my Wi-Fi password. That's why I don't know why I just now got an update. The only thing I can sync it with is my Nintendo account. I do not know if it goes to Pokemon. Somebody else asked that question, and I don't think it does, which doesn't make any sense, but it'd be kind of cool.
It's a cool idea. I mean, I know we talk a lot about like very future forward tech, but something simple like that, like an alarm clock that kind of forces you to get up, I kind of dig it.
Nintendo, it's well fleshed out. It's actually done really well. And I don't know if you guys have heard, at the same time, they also released the Nintendo Music app.
Oh.
And I'm thinking, it's just like Spotify or YouTube Music, only Nintendo's trying to make money. No, I download the app. It's literally just theme songs and songs based on their games.
Strictly, I love this. So could you wake up to the Super Mario theme? Because that would be amazing.
Well, that's the app. The app is separate than the alarm clock. So the alarms are set based on the soundscape. You know? And like, it's cool. I honestly, I think I'm a little too old maybe to have something like this. There are some record keepings, like since it senses your motion. I don't know if it tracks your sleep that well, but it does track how long you sleep, so you can like set goals and it will show you.
Okay.
Like a game, like it should.
Well, listen, we didn't get a chance to talk about that last week because I think it was released last week or the week before, but it was on our run list. I know it was.
And you can't buy it unless you're an online Switch account holder.
Huh.
Now, I was told next year, starting in January, they're going to open it up to everybody, but right now,
Well, listen, we talk a lot about technology on this podcast, and one of the things that we talk a lot about is AI, and we have some amazing AI stories, which we'll get to a little later on today. But I actually want to bring in our first guest. So we have a lovely gentleman and author, former eBay CFO, Gary F. Bengier. I apologize if I pronounced your name wrong. I'm going to bring him in right now so he can...
pronounce it for us.
Hello, Gary. How's it going?
No, I'm doing great. And you pronounced it well, Gary F. Bengier. That's right.
Bengier. Okay, perfect. So, Gary, I've got a little bit of a spiel here about you. So if you just give me a second, I'll
go
talk
ahead.
about you. Famous Silicon Valley technologist. I would love to be called that, first of all. And philosopher. Fascinating and well-informed view on future of AI and politics. And he's going to be here to talk about a lot of things, but in particular his book, Journey to 2025, I believe.
Journey to 2125. Here it is. Yep.
2125. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
So,
That's right.
Gary, first of all, former eBay CFO. What was that like? I gotta know about that first.
Okay. Well, I spent 25 years in tech, and I like to say lots of at-bats. Everything from bioscience for half a dozen years to chip design, electronic design, automation, computer peripherals. I did high-tech windmills, and a lot of startups. And I did video streaming over the internet. And that company where I was CFO, we sold it to Microsoft, became their real player, and then eBay. So the technology we're using here was one of those companies that I invented way back in the day. I was with. So it was a great tech ride, and eBay was just a hairs on fire sort of situation. So
you've been in. So I think it's fair to say, Gary, that you've been in tech for a good amount of time. We'll say a good amount of time.
That's right. Yes, and I got to be involved in a lot of the most important technologies. Very fortunate in my career to be able to touch a bunch of those.
Right. Now, let me ask you, Gary. So one of the running themes of this year's podcast has been about AI and robotics. And I think we haven't done a single show this year in the 38 episodes that we've done where we haven't featured some kind of crazy AI and robotics story development. But right off the cuff, I'll just ask you really quickly. So what are your thoughts on kind of the future of AI and where it's heading in the world today, especially in the very tumultuous world we live in?
Okay, well, that's a big topic. So let me answer
Yes.
that quickly, and then I'll go at length because we can talk about that for a while.
Mm.
I
Oh,
think
absolutely.
that yeah, so I think that AI is going to be extraordinarily impactful over this next decade in particular. It's going to change a lot of jobs. I
Yeah.
think it's going to change the world in many, many ways that it's just going to be hard to actually predict at this point because because it impacts so many different areas. At the same time, I think that it's going to be a time period that we're going to continue to find new jobs, and
Yeah.
it's not going to be as disruptive. It's not going to be the end of the world. Okay, that's my
Okay.
prediction. Okay,
Now,
so that's a summary.
It's no, and fairly said, and we always said, I think us as podcasters here, we always said that we love the idea because we all love technology here, and we love the concept of AI. But a lot of the time, I think people are a little bit afraid of kind of what they're seeing in the media and what they're seeing and the advancements we're seeing, which seem to largely go kind of unchecked at this point in time, anyway. Now, you've written a book, which I believe kind of touches on maybe a little bit of this idea, the journey to 2125. So, Gary, are you able to give us a little synopsis about what the book's about?
Yeah, sure. Well, actually, this is part of a larger story. So, I did 25 years in tech, and then actually I went back to school, retired, as they say, and I backfilled an astrophysics degree. I then went on to get interested in philosophy. I backfilled a philosophy degree. I got a master's in philosophy, focused on philosophy of mind, and started thinking about consciousness. And what is that I in the middle of you and each of us?
Yeah.
And at the time I was doing that, there was a lot of talk about AIs and robots becoming conscious. A lot, and there's a lot of concern about they'll become conscious, they'll become advanced they'll become artificial general intelligence, AGI. And they're all going to be terminated and kill us. So
right. I think the biggest fear we all have, yes.
Yeah. So there's a lot of this fear out there, and so based upon that philosophy background and thinking about the hard problem of consciousness and what is consciousness itself, I decided that it was important to kind of get some of those ideas from philosophy out into the general public. So I wrote a first book called Unfettered Journey. Yeah. And that came out in 2020, just about the time that COVID started. And so that was my first novel, and it did really well. It won 14 book awards, including the Eric Hoffer Award for Philosophy. And so, it won Best Adult Fiction, Best Spiritual Fiction, Best Science Fiction. It won quite a number of awards. So I was very pleased with that one. That book takes place in the year 2161, an order of 140 years in the future. And the reason I placed it there is because it seems to me, based on my tech background, that, it's highly likely that in about 140 years or so, we'll have robots walking around among us. Okay. So it's easier to predict, the long tail and the long term of a technology trend. It's going to take a while. My philosophy is a very hard science kind of view of tech. It takes longer for things to happen than most of us think, right? So, we see the Boston Dynamic robots, throwing basket straight through swooshes from the center of the court. We think, wow, it's going to be here tomorrow. But it's going to be harder than that. It's really harder to actually make it get out into technology because we have social constraints and we have legal constraints and all kinds of things. So it takes longer. So, but in 140 years, I think it'll be here. So that was the idea. I placed the book then. And then some of my fans said, boy, that's a very eerily authentic view of the how And that was a quote from She's Single magazine. And they said, well, how do we get there? So that's a harder problem. How do we get from today to that far future? The near future is really hard to predict, quite honestly.
Yeah.
We woke up in 2022 in February, and suddenly Putin had invaded Ukraine. And all hell's broken loose in the world. So you can't predict what will happen next. Here we are on a Sunday, November 3rd. What will happen on Tuesday when we have an election? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. We
No.
just don't know, right?
Who knows?
Yeah.
So it's hard. But as I said, fans were asking about this, and then there were a couple of ideas that I felt were very important to get out into the world. And so based on that, I actually decided to write a prequel to Unfettered Journey. Yes. And that's how this came about. It's a prequel that covers the years 2025, which is next year, through 2125.
Right.
The subtitle is, it's Journey to 2125. The subtitle is One Century, One Family, Rising to Challenges. And the simple story is, it's the year 2125. Max MacGyver is 100 years old. So he was born in 2025. And his long separated grandson shows up on his doorstep and wants to know, why did his parents run off to the commune? And so the book takes place over a single day, where the grandfather is revealing the family's secrets to his grandson. And in that sort of sequence, then we have a story of 3 generations of the MacGyver family, where we go back in time and we see those family members. And those family members include, a young boy escaping war in Asia, a young woman fleeing from climate change in Africa, some family members starting AI companies and robotic companies, and some dealing with the consequences of that. We have political drama, some trying to deal with democracy and saving democracy. Who would have thought? Yeah. And so others dealing with privacy and bioscience. So what I try to do in the book is I actually cover in a very hard science way a story of how I think it's more likely that technology will develop over the century.
Right.
So that's the book.
Yeah. So I mean, look, we all read some of the notes and stuff on the book, and we thought, wow, like this is pretty much exactly what we talk about on this podcast. I mean, we largely talk about consumer technology, but lately it's been a lot of AI, robotics, the world in general. So you talk a lot about technology in the book. Is there anything? What was my sorry? I'm just got a question. What's your hope that people get out from the book in regards to the future of AI? What's something you want them to understand?
Well, here's there's something called an epigraph. Everyone knows it's the little pithy statement. And let me just read that to give you a sense.
Sure.
It says, of the many challenges ahead this century, a few matter. Focus on and overcome those few, and you, yours, and the world will survive and perhaps even thrive. So in many ways, this is a message for, your kids, right? Your grandkids, because there are lots of problems out there. And, there's views of the future that are very dystopian, and there are the utopian views that sometimes get promulgated by Silicon Valley. What's the reality going to be? I kind of think it's going to be someplace in between. And we shouldn't be so dystopian that we think, oh my God, we're all going to die. There's no future. I'm not going to have kids. We're not going to do anything.
I think that's our problem. I think that's our problem, because we do that a lot here. We watch these videos and we go, it's the end of the world. But like you said, I think the reality of AI is that it will be somewhere in the middle, something that's helpful, but maybe something to be a little bit concerned about, right? Is kind of the general gist of it.
And I think it's very important to focus on the most important problems and actually get stuff done, not talk about it, but you actually have to solve those problems.
Yeah. So I'm just going to pass it over to my co-host here. Devin, do you have any questions for Gary in regards to the book? Anything that speaks out to you there?
I guess I did not have anything super prepared, but it looks awesome, and I can't wait to take a look at it. I'm a little bit disappointed that Darren didn't tell us that you were coming on, so I couldn't read the book.
I'm sorry.
beforehand.
He told me.
I did tell Jason. I'm sorry,
Tell me.
Devin.
Well, I'm going to give you all an advantage and all of your audience and a chance to get the book for free now. How's that?
Oh, amazing. Yeah.
My website is GaryFBenger.com. That's GaryFBengier.com. And I set up a special page just for you folks and for all of your audience. If you put in GaryFBenger.com /2125 disruptors. DISRUPTORS 2125 disruptors. That's a special page. Click on that. You get a free book right now.
Oh, amazing, Gary!
Well,
We appreciate it, and I think
that's
our
nice.
viewers will appreciate that.
Yeah. Because I really think it's important to get these ideas out. And let me mention two of them. When I said that, fans were interested in what happened before, and then I was never planning to do a prequel. I just wrote one book and I was done. But there were two things that really bothered me in terms of things to focus on. And I think they are more existential threats.
Yes.
And then I'm going to get the AI as a third. So the two that I think that I really am concerned about is one, something that I'm afraid people are not worried about as much as they should now. And it's the threat of wide-scale nuclear war. That was something from the Cold War, but if some stupid politicians get us into a war and we start flinging, warheads at each other, and, a couple countries, you can name some of the other folks that might happen with, some other countries. And, we lose 20 cities and they lose a bunch. The biggest problem with that is it'll so disrupt society. It won't be the end of humanity, but what will happen, I'm afraid, is it will take so much time and wealth and energy to rebuild from that, that we won't solve what I think is the other existential crisis, which is climate change. Those are the number one and number two, and we've got to fix those two things. And if humankind can get past those, which I consider existential risks, then I think we'll maybe do okay this century.
We might get there,
And okay, now let me go to the third, and again, we're back to AI and robotics. Here's my view. I stated it earlier that I think that AI will be incredibly impactful in this next decade for sure. But I do not see AGI and artificial general intelligence, super smart machines being better than humans across the board, actually anytime soon. I don't believe that. Now, if you follow some of the major AI companies, they've been touting that they'll get to artificial general intelligence soon, very soon. I just don't think that will happen. And let me describe a definition, because I think you have to be very careful with this. If you define artificial general intelligence in a squishy way, then certain companies may claim that they've achieved it. But what do we really worry about as humankind, as human beings? We worry about two things. I think we worry about an AGI that will be sentient or conscious. If it's actually conscious or even sentient, it feels things, right? Then we have to think about it in a very different moral way. We have to treat it like a conscious being. We have to treat them sort of like us. And that introduces an entire new moral ethic that we have to deal with. So that's one. The second is that we are concerned and fear that they will be smart enough to take all our jobs. Okay.
Yes.
So in the book, I've actually defined a practical economic AGI, artificial general intelligence, and that is an AGI that will be able to perform in a superior way to a average educated 25-year-old human.
Okay.
So, someone who's gone to college, who's, been out for a few years, understands the world, and if an AGI can actually produce that kind of person, yeah, then they will take all our jobs, or enough of them.
Yeah.
But and that practical economic AGI is unassisted by any human, and it has to be deployed in the world to be economically effective.
Right.
So, if it's sitting in your computer, I don't think we worry about it. But if it's walking around embodied in a robot, then we do.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, Gary, one of the things we talk about is that fear that they take one of these, advancements in robotics, like the moving, talking, all of that, and throw in the brain, Chat GPT or a Google Gemini or something like that, because we fear, I think the fear is amongst us when we talk about robotics and AI is that someone will go, let's just see what happens. And then maybe, just maybe, it might be too late to rein it back in, right? And I think a lot of companies are dancing with technology right now, and some dangerous technology. Granted, I agree with you. I don't think we're quite there, and I don't think we're going to get there quite yet. But it still scares me. It's still a fear that I think a lot of people have, that someone just goes, I'm smart. I got a degree. I know robotics. I know AI. Let's just blend these two worlds together and see what happens.
Okay, and so Darren, I totally agree with you, and that is why in this book, by 2070, 2080, when we've had the robots themselves have gotten to be good enough, and then they are deployed in a ubiquitous way, so they're walking around among us. And then with the AIs that are embodied in the robots, when they're good enough, that's when we start to have to worry about those elements of jobs going away. And so that's exactly, so what I've tried to do in this book is to take what I think is a highly likely rollout of the technologies. So back to what the first statement, you asked me what I think about AI, and I said that in this next decade, it will be very impactful, but I don't think it'll be taking away our jobs. But, the question is, at what point does it take away, I'll use the example of a roofer, right?
Yeah.
When will that robot be able to climb up on the roof and do the job of a roofer, right?
Which is a tough job. Yeah.
Yeah. And it takes a lot of dexterity, and you can imagine there's
there's a lot of variables too. It's not just climbing on a roof and nailing. You got wind, heat, all kinds of crazy stuff. Yeah, for sure.
Yes. So when that happens, then we do have that fear of that robots actually taking all of our jobs. And when that happens, think about, and again, I think at some point this will be likely. That was the thesis of the first book, Unfettered Journey. At some point, there will be very few jobs. Actually, maybe having a job will be a privilege, right? Because the robots, and then who owns the robot factories? Because when robots can build the factories that build robots, then
have we lost?
Have we lost?
Have we lost? Yeah.
Well, like I said, technology right now, we're watching robots that can walk, keep their balance, jump. I mean, I know that Elon Musk released the stuff where the people are moving, but we know they're probably controlled. But it showed a proof of concept. Your book is 2125, where obviously technology has come a long way. AI has probably come a long way. And what we're seeing now is, especially with the election cycle, I don't want to get too political because we're a tech show, but in the book you talk, I'm assuming since the book talks about AI and politics. So what do you see currently with technology and politics? Like, where is the disconnect now? I mean, in your book, it leads to something different.
Well, what I tried to do in the book is to lay out, without being, the tech Silicon Valley bro, everything's going to be fine, or the dystopian, it's the end of the world, we're all going to die, and robots going to take over. I don't believe either of those things. But I think I think that the real world has politics and social changes and technology all intertwined in a very complex way. And that's what I tried to illustrate in the book through a family saga. So that's why I said it's parts family saga, it's parts political drama, and it's part hard science, speculative fiction, because I think I'd like to have everyone think about all of those elements together, and to realize that there's no simple answers to this. You're just going to have to work the problems and fix certain things. You're going to have to put constraints around certain kind of technology. We're going to have to agree as a society of roles of engagement, right? And think how that all the consequences. So that's the whole point of my book, is to maybe enhance the conversation around what we as humankind need to do to manage this technology well.
And I like that point of view, because it's just like anything new. You know, I know I'm not super old, but growing up, video games were going to kill everyone. You know, it was going to make everyone murderers. You know, and it didn't work out that way.
Violent music videos.
Certain music was going to make you worse. But as a society, we came with rating systems and, you know, time frames. And I think that just with AI, like you just discussed, right now it's in its infancy. We're trying to learn, and we should be at the table trying to figure out what we need to do to regulate this. Not too much, but because we want technology to grow, we want to get better. But I agree 100%. I think that's what we should be doing. And like you said, the book outlines that in a good way. So
yeah. And one of the themes is, you know, as the society has gotten so intertwined, you know, and we have instant communication around the world, and we can magnify our voices, like in your podcast here. Lots of people are hearing these ideas, and so all of that accelerates everything. And so with that is the way technology is intertwined and making us all together. We really have to worry about the commons. You know, the public commons is becoming more instantly accessible by so many people. And so we really have to protect that. And so that's one of the themes in the books. How do you protect that commons, whether it's the information commons, you know, it's the shared advancement of humankind, I think. So.
Well, listen, Gary, I think we can all agree here that your book sounds absolutely amazing. And for us who love technology and talk about, you know, the future of AI and technology a lot on this show, I'm going to make sure that I share this with all of our listeners and our followers. And
well, you know what I just did? Before you came on the show, I was like, I'm going to go buy it. So I bought it on Amazon, and he gave it to us for free.
There you go.
So I bought it and got it for free.
Well, the paperback is great too.
Yes,
but
exactly.
Old school. There you go.
Yeah, the ebook has the advantage that each time there's new technology introduced, if you click on that link, there's a hyperlink that takes you to the glossary that has more information about the technology, and then you can click on that hyperlink and take you to the same place in the book, so you can continue reading. So the glossary is, I think, a fairly extensive portrayal of what I see as the advancement of the technology. I mean, everything from, you know, our cell phones, right? You know, you got your cell phone. What will replace this and when? Okay, I went to my 14th TED conference this past March, and spent a bunch of time talking to people that are deep into that technology in several companies, and you know, how will that play out? Well, for example, in Journey to 2125, there's a series of technologies, and you could imagine they get less intrusive. They're easy to operate. You can imagine some of them are wearable, etc., and that will evolve, right? Clearly, something's going to replace this. We don't know exactly what it is. It's not probably going to be the humane tap Star Trek.
Oh, I love that. Shots fired. We actually have a story about humane coming up a little bit later on.
Yeah.
I appreciate the dig there. That was good.
Yeah,
well,
but it'll be something. So I tried to portray that. I tried bioscience. As I said, I spent half a dozen years in bioscience. There's some great technology, about bioscience. I mean, I think bioscience is going to have a tremendous impact on human health.
Yes.
But we got to be careful about how we use that, and if we aren't careful, that can be a serious problem. So the book
Gary,
is to illustrate some of these issues. So
I'll just interrupt and I'll say the fact that you mentioned the biohacking, that will throw our numbers up through the roof, because you mentioned anything in biohacking right now, and it all of a sudden it becomes very popular on YouTube. But listen, I love all of the. You seem like a very smart man, Gary, and we would love to have you on again at some point in the near future to just talk technology and AI, because we can do it all day long.
I'll tell you, you put the link up, but it's GaryBenger.com/2125 disruptor.
I will fix that right now.
I want everyone to get a free book. So thank you very much.
Gary, so I will make sure that everybody gets the link. They will download. We will get people to buy it on Amazon. I will tell everybody I know to buy your book, because I'm sure if it is as good as you've been describing it to us, I think everybody's going to love this book.
Well, and the last thing I'll say is it got a Publishers Weekly editor's pick review, and I've got already 35 reviews on NetGalley, and there's 14 on Amazon, and it's just been out a couple of weeks. So I'm getting tremendous positive feedback that people love the family element of it tied with the tech that makes it feel really realistic. So please, love to have everyone engaged in this conversation. Thank you.
Yeah.
Listen, Gary, when I grow up, buddy, I want to be exactly like you. I love what you're doing. I love everything you're writing and talking about here. And we appreciate you being on, and we'll make sure that everybody goes out and buys the book. So thank you very much for joining us today, and all the best on your future endeavors.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you all too. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Have a good day. Thank you. Well, listen. There we go.
We were a little too close.
We did it on our faces.
Good.
Hey, Darren, can I just tell you something? You can never be like him. Sorry.
I know. Honestly, the more every time we have guests on this show, every guest that we've had just is so impressive.
Well, the last guy we had with the 3D stuff, and then this guy, you can tell they're so passionate. And I think what people fail to realize is that passionate comes off different. But if you're not passionate, you won't get to where you want to be.
100%. And look,
and this guy's, I seriously bought the book.
Yeah,
and then
I honestly, it's in my Amazon cart right now. The book is in my Amazon.
Well, while we were talking, I went to the website and already downloaded it too.
Yeah, so there you go. Right, so
it looks like a good read. And I have a newer job now. At one point I was driving an hour a day to work, and I used to do Audible because I could listen to books for the hour I was driving. You get really into it. I prefer the paperback, old school, hold it in your hand, but there's nothing wrong with, your e-readers or whatever you use, tablets, phones. So get out there and get it.
Yeah, absolutely. Go out there and check it out today. We'll put up the link and everything again a little bit later on the show.
Did he say he had like 17 degrees or something?
Listen, like I said, I'm just jealous. I don't even know. I don't even know where to begin. He's amazing. I love having Gary on. But we'll have to get Gary back.
Well, we're glad Devin came. I was like, I didn't know. I didn't think about it. You sent it to me a while back.
I didn't think to send it. Yeah.
And I didn't think
about it. But you know what, Devin? It's actually good having you on from a completely naive perspective, because it allows you to kind of go, oh, okay, this is kind of what it's about.
Yeah, not gonna lie, I was not prepped for this in depth of a conversation today. I was like,
it got deep real quick.
It got deep real quick,
and you could tell he could have kept going, and that's great. Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't listen. I don't mean to cut him short. I really don't. So if you're listening at home, please understand. We had him in we wanted to have him in for some time to talk about his book. But listen, impressive. Makes me feel dumb.
If you want to know more, check him out on Amazon. He's got 2 books, like he said, and check out the link, and you can get it for free.
I'll get Jason to write the link in the chat now, if you don't mind, Jace.
Sure.
Yeah, do you remember it? Yeah. Just copy my link and change it. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to do that, but Jason will pop up the link so you guys can check it out. But yeah, again, every guest we've had has just made me feel dumber and dumber as a human being. But anyway, we're going to move on. And funnily enough, right after Gary, I think it's time we talk a little bit about some AI stuff I stumbled across this week. So I know Gary, and I appreciate Gary's point of view. Gary was saying that he doesn't think that we're going to get the whole sentient robotics just yet. But what about when robots and AI start to think for themselves? Because I think we're seeing this a little bit more. And I want to pull up a little story here, which I think you guys will appreciate. So this is a story that caught my attention earlier this week. So in some hospitals around the world, what they're using now is transcription tools. So basically a way to kind of collate all their notes, collate all their ideas and information into one central database. But AI transcription tools and hospitals are finding out pretty quickly that AI is just adding in things that nobody actually said. So OpenAI is the brand company that is powering this artificial intelligence tool. It's called Whisper. And it's described as having human-level robustness and accuracy. Okay, I want you to remember that. Human-level robustness and accuracy. Whisper. I know, what a stupid name for an AI transcription tool. But anyway. So here comes this OpenAI, offshoot, used specifically designed for hospitals, basically for to keep all of their information and their notes together in one central location. Think of it like a notes app on crack. But hospitals are finding that this AI tool, Whisper, has been making up things that weren't actually there. Now, I thought this was funny at first, but then I read what it was making up, and it wasn't so funny anymore. So in the AI world, they call these hallucinations, which I find fucking hilarious. That to use that term hallucinations for an AI-powered transcription tool is scary.
Yeah.
But this Whisper app has been adding in to these hospital notes racial commentary, violent rhetoric, which is my favorite word in the entire dictionary, and even imagined medical treatments. So basically, to put
that sounds like a lot of, never mind. I'm not going to go there.
Do you remember last week we were talking about the AI that got bored and started adding in it? So it sounds like another similar situation. Here is AI, which is going, oh man, I'm sick of just transcribing all these medical notes. I'm bored. Let's add in some random shit and see if they notice. And that's exactly what's happened here. So this Whisper OpenAI app has been fabricating hallucinations or random informations and just putting things in there that are not actually there. Now, Devin, you're shaking your head. What's the first thing that came to mind when you heard this?
I mean, to be honest, I think this is one of those. Maybe it's just because we were literally just talking about 21, 25. I really think this is going to be one of those short-term problems with AI. Like, until somebody figures out like why this is happening and corrects it and makes it better. But this is also ridiculously scary in the short term because I mean, when you're talking about very serious things like medical records, adding in, taking stuff out, putting stuff in there that's not accurate, right? People have to now be smart enough to tell the difference. And in a lot of things, I think it doesn't really matter, but there's a lot of things that it could. And as AI is getting so much better in not just like text stuff, but in generating images, in generating video, all of this stuff is getting scarier and scarier. And it's going to be really, really hard to keep straight what's real and what's not. And I think that's definitely one of those short-term things that we have to worry about. And we have to educate our parents about because
Oh,
They're not-
absolutely. Yeah, that's coming. I mean, you take your grandparents to the hospital, and it's transcribing audio of what your grandfather said to the doctor. Violent rhetoric is probably not going to be one of the things that your grandfather says. Now,
I don't know. It might be what my dad's saying though.
maybe that's what I was thinking. I think racial commentary would be my grandfather because he
Yep.
just sees the world differently. But I just want to kind of point out something here. So just reading a little bit more into this. So Whisper is a audio transcriber. So basically interviews, transcribing them into text is the thing. So it said here that it analyzed 100 hours of Whisper transcriptions. 26,000 transcripts from Whisper. Okay, that's how much they analyze of this problem. 187 hallucinations in more than 13,000 clear audio snippets were examined. 187.
I'd love to know what they are.
I
What,
would-
what
oh
are these
God, I would love
hallucinations?
to-
Come on.
Yeah.
I want to know.
Well, I mean, here's the thing with medical data. If you fuck that up, that could be the difference between life and death.
I mean, when you say hallucinations, though, that's just like, some issue with the transcript, right?
Yes, but I
Yeah.
mean, what if it changed something as simple as, are you taking any medication? No, but it changed it to a yes.
Right.
And then it made up the medication you were
Yeah.
taking. Like, let's say I'm taking blood pressure medication.
But it sounds like when you say hallucination, that would be worse.
Well, I mean, based on, racial commentary, violent rhetoric. So,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
example, let's say that you go to the doctor and it's recording you and you said, hey, doc, I've got this mole on my back. It might change it to be, hey, doc, I've got this fucking mole on my back. Why don't you fucking do something about it?
Or I will kill you.
Right? Yeah, or I'll kill you. So, I mean, you can imagine that the ramifications of something like this, which I find just hilarious in the world of
Yeah.
AI. But like Devin said, I think there's really not much you can do about it. I mean, it's a problem. It's a ghost in the machine, right? That you've heard that saying before.
It's so weird too, because I've been working in technology my whole career, right? And that's
Yeah.
one of the reasons why I have loved IT so much, is because you're working with computers. Computers are ones and zeros. There is a right answer. There's a way to fix this. And all of a sudden AI is just like, yeah, it just kind of does.
We're going to throw
what it
2 in
wants
there.
to do.
1 zeros and 2s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that anytime I hear something like this, I'm like, I used to work in the health IT industry, and like just saying like, oh yeah, AI just sometimes doesn't do what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
That's
It
weird.
sometimes
That's
does
scary.
the opposite.
We talked about this before with AI and robots. Just give them an extension cord. They go too far. They get unplugged. They don't do anything anymore.
Yeah. Do you want to know what the scariest, funniest, scariest part of this whole article is? So Whisper is used to create closed captioning for the deaf and hard of hearing. Can you imagine if it's adding for those particular audience? Like, I feel
Why
like
are
this
we
is a
using-
major problem.
Why are we using some sort of AI at that point?
Because
Why?
it's cheaper and
not?
easier, probably.
How is this not just figure out what they're saying?
Like this article that was created here, I'm talking, this is like, we're just looking at the first of 3 pages. Like, it breaks down this problem. If you want to look more into this, I'll post up the link now in the chat. But wow, like AI going to town on just making up its own story, seeing what's happening. But yeah, just a kind of funny thing that caught my attention this week, which I thought was just hilarious to me. But anyway, moving on. We had a couple of interesting stories this week in the world of tech. And I know one of the things that our very esteemed guest mentioned was Humane AI. And, Humane AI has had a bit of a rough go at it lately. But now, essentially, their charge here is setting people on fire.
But wasn't this always an issue? I thought this when it first came out was an issue. What's weird about it is they just released that they lowered it to $4.99.
Yeah.
Did a software 2.0, whatever the software is, and it's supposed to be so much better. But I thought the charging heating thing was already an issue. They already recalled them. So it must have been more of them that went out and hadn't fixed the problem.
No, I think the problem was never fixed, but now the CPSC has basically said, hey, it's a fire hazard. You really need to fix this, Humane, because, I mean, it's easy to overlook a hot charging case. I mean, phones get hot, earphones, fucking everything gets hot. It's electronic gear. It's expected. But now Humane is basically facing a couple more issues here. Basically, they've announced a voluntary recall out of an abundance of caution. Yeah, good idea, Humane. Let's recall all of our chargers just in case they catch on fire.
But wait, we lowered the price to $4.99. You still got to pay $30 a month, and you can't use a SIM. You got to use a brand new number. But hey, voluntarily return your charger.
Here's a better suggestion, Humane. How about this? How about you just fucking recall all of them, fix it, and send them back?
Or why don't we just cut it loose, work on version 2, and let's just let it be.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I know we've talked about Humane. I think it was actually one of our thumbnails a couple of weeks back.
Yeah, we beat it. We beat that dead horse pretty bad.
We've beat that horse a few times, but we'll
I think I pre-ordered it 3 times and canceled it 3 times.
Yeah. Well, I see this as a Note 7 disaster coming their way, so they should be careful.
Well, the difference between that and Note, Samsung pulled its way out pretty quickly. You know, they're still pretty successful. This is Humane's only product, so if they fail at this, they may not have a feature. And obviously, no one's clamoring to buy them. We even backed out. You know, here at Tech Disruptors, we were going to buy Humane.
Yeah,
we backed out.
Yep.
So.
And
I was the nay vote, but
you were the nay vote.
Yeah. Basically here, Humane's returns have outpaced its sales.
That's been going on since they started.
Which has been going on since they started.
Now, the other side of that is the Rabbit R1.
Yes.
So I still have that. And they've been kicking out updates, and now they have the large action model. So you can actually go on the website and you can set things up. It's actually, again, a lot of the stuff you can do on a phone. But the fact that they've stuck to their guns and had updates, and it's been a pretty successful. The most fun I have is taking a picture of somebody, anybody, and just saying, hey, turn this into and it kicks it out for you. Or if you have like the music, what's that music app? Sony or whatever? Sony? No, it's like a AI music generation app.
Sorry,
you can link that and it'll make a song. It'll play it on there for you. It's a beginning of something, but they didn't have the fallout that Humane shot way too big with the laser and everything. I think they went way too far.
Laser. I feel like I have to do it every time.
It's kind of like it's kind of like when you put sharks with lasers on their freaking heads.
Exactly. Yeah.
What's that from?
Why can't we have that? That's from Austin Powers.
There you go.
Yes, there you go. Yes. All right. Now, Jason, you and I have bought an EV recently, and I wanted to ask you, Devin, I'll ask you because I don't think you don't have an EV. You have a regular gas car. Okay, so let me ask you this. What do you think is the biggest problem with an EV? Why don't people buy more EVs? If you had to just guess.
I mean, I would say biggest problem for me or biggest problem for everybody else?
General consumers.
It could be your opinion too, because you may have the same opinion as a general consumer.
I mean, I think one of the biggest things for me right now, it'd be probably a tie between like range and price.
Okay.
Fair.
What about you, Jason? What do you think's the biggest issue with EVs?
I think so. How I got into EVs is I went to a place of employment and a guy had one, and I've always been interested but never drove one. Yeah. He let me sit in it and drive it, and that changed my mind right there. Yeah. He said he's got the lowest model Tesla Model 3, and I don't think they sell it anymore. Only like 230 miles of range. But he said I drive 8 miles to work, 8 miles back.
Yeah.
And I don't have to worry about it. So I think for me, it's just consumers get a lot of garbage. Like, oh, they blow up. Oh, the range is terrible. Oh, they're not good in the winter. Oh, and all that stuff might be true, but all cars suffer very similar things.
Exactly.
Wintertime is not good for any car.
No.
And I think the biggest issue is just consumer confidence.
Yeah.
And yes, for me, this was my biggest hurdle. So I have terrible battery anxiety. My phone gets to 70%. I'm like, oh crap, it's going to die. I mean, so for me, the biggest hurdle is letting my battery drain like a little bit. Like it gets to 50%. I'm like, oh God, I'm freaking out. But technically they say let it go. So the lowest my car has ever been, I've had it since September. 2 months now. The lowest it's ever gotten was 65%.
Oh wow!
But I only charge it to 80, to 85. So
I'll tell you.
That'd be
So
the
my wife has been testing my battery anxiety lately because she'll make me drive the car at fucking 30%. So a couple of weeks ago, we went for a drive, about 25-minute drive away from home. I was at 25%. And she's like, just test it. We're going to test the range. We're going to see what it can do. We're going to see how far it can go. So we got to the hiking location. We went for a hike, drove back. I think I rolled into home at like 6%. And I was having a fucking meltdown. I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Because, actually yesterday I did quite a far drive. And when I got there, I was about 60%. And I decided to use one of those public chargers for the very first time. And first time I used it, worked really well. Charged up the car enough to get me home. It was perfect. But what I'm getting at is the biggest issue, I think, with a lot of people when it comes to EVs is that they're quiet. They're quiet. You can't hear them. They don't have the grunt.
I think if you're looking at like muscle heads, like yes. Like my last car was twin turbo. I love the blow off sound. I love the torque, the rumble. You don't get that with an EV. That's true.
So Rolls-Royce have released their Spectre EV.
There you go, Devin. There's your next EV. There's your next EV.
For the record, one of the greatest fucking names ever for an EV. But here's the thing.
It looks nice.
They've included a sound. So when you drive it, it has a sound.
Now hold on. Hyundai EV N-Line has the same thing. So when you get in the car, you don't hear it from the outside, but in the car, it even makes the shift sounds. So you feel like you're shifting, and you can set it to there's different. I don't know if it's MKBHD or, and whoever I watched said this is the first EV that actually makes someone who's trying to get to a EV from gas make it a little more comfortable. You can still tell it's an EV, but they make the rev sounds, the shift. Yeah. I think it even makes you feel the shift too.
But see, here's the thing. This car makes it on the outside.
That's different. Yeah.
Now, it's a $420,000 EV. I just want to let that be known.
Well, Devin he got it pre-ordered, didn't you?
I mean, it does look pretty good.
It does look damn good.
Only 266 miles of range?
That's bull crap.
Fuck, that's like my car gets more range.
Okay, the Lucid Air is like $100,000 with 500 miles of range.
Yeah. Okay, but what I'm getting at is Rolls-Royce have included a sound, and I'm going to play it for you.
Oh, Jesus.
So you can hear what it sounds like. Now, I had to struggle to hear this. It was not as loud as I thought it was going to be.
I hope it's something really stupid.
But let's...
Okay, this is an attempt to get a recording of the ominous engine note within the Rolls-Royce Spectre for my friends at The Verge. All right, hopefully this comes through.
Stand by.
It's very quiet, very subtle. I hope it's coming through.
That's not that much.
Now, could I just...
I thought you were going to be make a weird like...
Oh, no. I'll be honest with you. Do you want to know what that sounds like? And this is why I bring up this article.
Sounds like wind.
No, it sounds like an ominous horror movie. I'll play it again. I want you to think horror
movie. Well, we're hearing it third hand through like the browser, so...
So let's just see. I see if I can pick it up here. Hang on. Listen really carefully.
It's very quiet, very subtle.
I see. Can't even get it now. Hang on.
This is the note. Hopefully this comes through.
That like guttural kind of like.
But it doesn't sound like a car. Music. It doesn't sound like a car.
No, it doesn't. And so this is the thing. Like I thought when I read this article, I was like, oh, it's gonna sound like a fucking muscle car. This is gonna be amazing. It just sounded like.
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know a lot about cars, but there's a company, a large umbrella company called Stellantis. They own Dodge, Alfa Romeo, all these companies.
Yeah.
And they're all struggling. And Dodge came out and said, Dodge is known for the Hellcat with like 1,000 horsepower. You can buy it for $100,000 or $80,000 and you can drive it in the streets. They decided to go all electric on these. I'm curious to see if they'll do something like this. Like, hey, let's shake up the industry a little bit. and we'll have noises on the inside, but let's have an exhaust note on the outside of the car. I don't know if I think the reason they don't do this is because people are going to laugh. They already laugh at EVs for not making sounds, but that's fine. That's what they do. They don't make sounds. I think adding a car sound to something that's not supposed to have it is kind of stupid, in my opinion.
Yeah, honestly.
I mean, a lot of people add big exhausts on their cars already to make them sound different. Like,
but they already make the sound. They're just amplifying.
Yeah, but what's,
you know what I
what's the
want?
difference?
I want.
I'm gonna put an exhaust in my Tesla just to hang it there.
Just
See
to
what they
hang it
say.
there, yeah. Yeah, I would love to see that. Just a giant exhaust on the back. Okay, well, we're actually at the end of the show. Now, I have to apologize. I just got a message from Average Dad. He's meant to be on our show twice in the last couple of weeks, and he's currently dealing with some fussy children at home who do not want to go to bed. So I have to apologize. Thank you very much for everybody that came for Average Dad. But unfortunately, he won't be making today's show. We're going to try to get him on one more time, maybe next week if we can. But yes, he's got some fussy children.
One more time.
We're over
More
him.
time. But to wrap it up, as you guys know, it was Halloween this week. And our favorite robotics company, Boston Dynamics.
Oh, yes.
An amazing video for Halloween. And we're gonna roll out today's show with this little gem right here.
It's a hot dog. All thing.
So for those of you watching at home, this is the Boston Dynamics robot dressed in a hot dog outfit.
They should be having it knock on a door and ask for, hey, trick or treat.
It still weirds me out how it moves.
Yeah.
Oh, he was going to be like serving
Everything's
hot dogs.
360.
What's funny is it's just doing its normal job with a costume on.
Yeah, it's the most ridiculous video. It's literally wearing a hot dog outfit.
Who the hell is that guy? What the heck is he wearing?
He's gonna mess with you.
Is he a pickle? What the heck?
Definitely a pickle.
Oh my god.
See how fast it adjusted though?
I think we're in 21-25. Oh, maybe not.
Maybe 21-24.
We're not quite there yet.
You know what? I almost want the robot to just be like, fuck. Like, when it makes a mistake, you know? Like,
Well, don't humans do that? Oh, I gotta get him to this job again.
Ah, shit, it's
don't
not
know.
gonna fit, you know?
I don't know. Adding sounds like that just doesn't feel normal for.
But adding sounds to EV cars is okay?
Yeah, that's correct. Yes, there you go. Yeah. Anyway, well, listen, thank you very much for all of the people that are on our show today. And I'm just going to post up the link again. Gary Benninger, the book, his book sounds amazing. We can get it for free. So if you've just tuned in and you want something to read on the car ride home, yes, car ride home. Automatic self-driving, or you're going on a flight and you just want something to read on the plane, or you just want something to keep you from, after our podcast finish and you get, tech, a disruptor.
Well, that's true. My car will drive itself, so I can just read while I'm driving. Or
exactly.
it's driving.
That's perfectly safe. What could happen? But anyway, if you please check out his website there. We've got the link up on screen. You can get a free book today, ebook, download it, read it, and let us know what you think. And post up in the comments. Like, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'd love to hear what you think. Thank you, everybody who joined us today. Thank you, everybody who's been posting questions and comments in the chat. We really appreciate you. But we will be back next Sunday, maybe with Average Dad, maybe not. We don't know. That's kind of the show we run. But my name's Darren. This lovely gentleman in the green sweater is
Jason.
Devin.
Oh, nope, him, Devin.
see
Sorry.
that?
You tricked me.
I tricked you. And the other lovely regular.
I'm Devin. No, I'm Jason.
You know what that just reminded me of? Remember that movie Hot Rod, where he says,
Oh my god.
Hi, my name's Rod. I like to party, and then they just keep repeating the same
Yes.
thing. And he's like, yeah, that's what that part just reminded me of. But anyway,
Wow.
check us out on Spotify, Apple Music, everywhere you find great podcasts. And make sure you hit that subscribe button. If we get to 1,000 subscribers, Jason is going to get a implant in his brain. He's going to biohack himself.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yep.